Yep. Mac 11, Soul Invest returns. I'm going to do a relatively quick one in the kind of general category of someone's got to say it. So, the topic is becoming more human. And then you say to yourself, Mac, I'm human. What do you mean becoming more human? Listen. And this topic originally came up because I was thinking about, like my mind likes to do from time to time, when I'm in this like teacher mode, I'm like, if I were to be telling someone about how to apply for jobs and get jobs, and I would tell them, well, by and large, it's a numbers game. You should be applying to plus or minus 10 jobs a day, and then, my personal, entry of extra humanness would be, I'm saying plus or minus on purpose because, look, life is life. If you're feeling inspired, if you're on a roll, then naturally you're going to do more than 10. If you just have a small window of time, between your other job and dinner and, behind the scenes work at the house and then sleep, and if you've got a small window of time, then don't beat yourself up if you can't get 10, right? If you apply to 8 jobs, then within the concept that you're a human, that you have a schedule, that, you had a small window of time, etc., then consider that a win. So, and then that just branched down to the general topic of, like, we need to treat ourselves more human, and then from there, we need to, and then zoom out from that, we need to realize how inhuman pop culture / society has become. Now, here's an easy sort of example / point of comparison. Okay, so if we view the advertisements from the 1950s, it's like, oh yeah, those were so like cringe and kitschy and so plainly, so blatantly manipulative and fake, etc., etc. It's like, wow, people really fell for that stuff, huh? And I want to get people to get in this general mindset of this manipulation, this cultural cognitive swaying in the form of marketing, advertising, influence of public opinion, public relations, sociology in general. It never went away, and it didn't even start in the 50s. Like, propaganda is a very well-known concept that started who knows how many hundreds of years back, but from the 50s to now, they had been using techniques that we still consider viable, right? Billboards, just ads in general. So yeah. But propaganda, the swaying of public opinion, the swaying of public perception, that had been going on, and it's still going on. Now, let's just go beyond the obvious stuff, like ads, commercials. That's obvious. But if we're getting to the real nitty-gritty, the shows, the fictional shows that are mimicking common life, the sitcoms, etc., etc., because I'm trying to think of a term other than sitcom, but just like the live action shows, especially the ones that have comedy, but they also have drama, right? Sort of like a full gambit of emotions. Parenthood, Modern Family, etc., etc. The Office, New Girl, just shows like that where it's like, shows without a laugh track, shows that try to mimic real life. They're getting more and more subtle with it, but shows like that and more subtle ads like that, mimicking quote-unquote real life, modern daily life, that's an ad. That's social manipulation. That's perceptual manipulation, where you think that is normal, that is life, that's just, oh, this is common, this is everyday stuff, right? We have to remember that there are not only other ways of living, but arguably better ways of living. Simpler, yet more natural ways of living. If you've spent any amount of time with a family that's just like living in farmland, maybe they have a farm of their own, but just living in an area that's just not very population dense, that there are a couple stores here and there, but it's just farmland, or it's just forestry, or it's just desert. It's just mostly nature, right? It's more nature than people. If you spend any amount of time with people or families in that sort of geographic area, you start to realize pretty soon, and I guess to an extent, if you watch videos of people who live this like simpler, more natural life, you get wind of the concepts, of the facts that there are different ways of living, there are different ways of thinking, there are different ways of perceiving life that aren't, and this is the key here, that aren't influenced by pop culture, that aren't influenced by the ads, that aren't influenced by the fictional assumptions of what a modern daily life looks like. Becoming more human, essentially, and I thought this was going to be a short video, but this is important. I want to get people in line with another way of thinking that is more real, more natural, arguably more healthy. When you're less and less influenced by these fictional personas, these fictional lifestyles that pretend to be common, when you become less and less swayed, when you become less and less convinced of these fictional perceptions, of these fictional normalities of society, of life, you start to tread your path, your own unique path, more and more stoically, more and more confidently, because once you realize that stuff is fake and that stuff isn't really actually normal, or it shouldn't actually be normal, you start to question, you start to think more, you start to perceive more critically, you could say, more uniquely, more creatively. And this came a lot through, or this has been coming a lot through working with children, because they're much less indoctrinated by the consumerism, the societal pop culture, the fake normalities, the fake commonalities that portray themselves through this media, these videos, these series, these streaming services, etc., etc. And they're just more of their base level humanity. So you can learn a whole lot from children. And one of the many things is this exact thing. They're much less indoctrinated, especially if they're not being fed this media, if they're just playing with each other more, playing outside more, just generally doing more of what they love doing naturally, playing, discovering, being creative, just doing sports, right? Being competitive, but at the same time just experiencing the winning, the losing, the competition, the sporting of it all, of life in it of itself, the spontaneity of it all, the resilience of it all, right? Just the play of life. It's so inspiring. It's ridiculously inspiring. And it kind of made me like lose my track temporarily, but I'm back. Or am I? So this naturalness, this just removal, this dissolution of this indoctrination, being more and more natural and mentally, emotionally healthy and clear, and then having more connection with yourself and forging your own path, staying with your uniqueness, being more playful, more creative, more innovative. I'm just painting this different picture for you, especially if you haven't experienced firsthand or secondhand or thirdhand, whatever, these people who are living it, these people who are completely cool with their way of life. They give little to no craps about what, the mass, the majority of society is doing. They don't give a flying F, because they're living their life. They're more in touch with themselves. They're more in touch with nature. They're more in touch with life. And they're doing it. They're living it up. So I felt the need to bring that, especially to the people who are just in it, right? Whether you're just in a busy city, in a busy job life, just the work-life balance is just a little bit wild, and you're going, and then consuming, you're getting these influences, those influences, you're just in a whirlwind of people who are thinking the same, doing the same, becoming the same. I just want to throw this other angle at you. I want to present this other angle for you to just steep in for a little bit. Steep in it. Think about it, feel about it, and perhaps even do about it. This is Mac 11, Soul Invest Returns. Catch